The bridge of the UES Retribution hummed with tension as Commander Julia Torres gripped the armrest of her command chair. Through the viewport, 3 alien worlds hung like jewels against the void, their surfaces glittering with the lights of billions of inhabitants. In mere moments, those lights would go dark forever. "Captain, the Xalan fleet is maintaining position around the colony worlds," reported Lieutenant Oscar Bennett from the tactical station, his voice steady despite the weight of what was to come. "They still believe we're here to negotiate." Julia's jaw tightened. Negotiate. The word tasted like ash in her mouth. The Xylan Confederacy had already shown humanity what their negotiations were worth when they glassed Earth's outer colonies without warning, killing 17 million people in a single devastating strike. Men, women, and children vaporized in an instant because humanity had refused to become a subject species. "Status of the Prometheus array?" Julia asked. Oscar's fingers danced across his console, pulling up readings that made his eyes widen slightly. "Charging at 93%, Captain. The weapon will be ready to fire in 2 minutes." 2 minutes? Julia closed her eyes for a brief moment, thinking of her sister who had died on Proxima Station, of the children she'd seen in the evacuation recordings, their faces frozen in terror as the Xalan plasma bombardment began. The Confederacy had taught humanity a brutal lesson. In this galaxy, mercy was a weakness that led only to extinction. "Captain Torres," came the voice of Ambassador Kreth over the communication channel, his translator rendering his chittering speech into flat, emotionless human words. "You have brought only one vessel. Surely you understand the futility of resistance. Accept the Xalan terms, become our clients, and your species will be permitted to exist as laborers." "And Ambassador," Julia interrupted, her voice cold as the space between stars, "I want you to understand something. You attacked our colony. You murdered our people. You thought humanity would bow because we were young, because we were weak, because we had no choice." She stood from her chair, walking closer to the viewport as Oscar watched her with quiet respect. He'd served under Julia for 5 years, had seen her laugh at crew parties and weep at memorial services, but now, her face was a mask of terrible determination. "You were wrong," Julia continued. "Humanity doesn't negotiate with genocidal conquerors. We adapt, we innovate, and we remember our dead. Your threats are meaningless." Human Kreth replied with what the translator interpreted as amusement. "One ship against our entire defensive fleet. You are either foolish or Oscar. Fire when ready. Prometheus array at 100%. Captain." Oscar's hand hovered over the firing control, and for just a moment, Julia saw the question in his eyes. This wasn't a military target. These were civilian worlds. But they were also the Confederacy's core systems, the heart of the Empire that had declared war on humanity's very existence. "I confirm the order," Julia said. "Fire." Oscar pressed the control. The Retribution shuddered as it released the sum total of humanity's rage and ingenuity. The Prometheus array, a weapon designed by Earth's greatest minds, working in desperate secret for 3 years, tore open the fabric of space-time itself. A beam of pure annihilation, channeling the power of a collapsing star through quantum tunnels, lanced out from the warship's bow. The first Xalan world, Kreth's own homeworld of Zelos Prime, never had time to react. The beam struck its atmosphere and simply erased it. The kinetic and thermal energy so immense that the entire planetary crust flash vaporized in a sphere of expanding plasma. 7 billion Xalan citizens ceased to exist in less than 3 seconds. "Target 2, Julia commanded, her voice unwavering even as her hands trembled. The array pivoted with mechanical precision. The second world, an industrial hub called Vexana, tried to raise planetary shields at the last moment. The shields lasted approximately 0.3 seconds before the array punched through them like tissue paper. The planet's core destabilized, and the world tore itself apart from within, fragments spinning out into the void as internal pressures found catastrophic release. "Third target acquired," Oscar reported. His voice had gone hollow. Julia said nothing, merely nodded. The final world was a Xylan cultural center, home to their greatest libraries and universities. As the array's beam consumed it, Julia thought she could almost hear the screams across the void, though she knew that was impossible. Space carried no sound. The silence of the grave was all that remained. In less than 5 minutes, 22 billion sentient beings had been erased from existence. The Xalan Confederacy's 3 core worlds were gone, reduced to expanding clouds of superheated debris and radiation. The fleet that had surrounded them drifted in shock, their communications channels filled with static and disbelief. Captain Oscar said quietly, "We're receiving surrender transmissions from every Xalan vessel in range. They're begging us to stop." Julia walked back to her command chair and sat down heavily. She felt ancient, though she was only 37 years old. Broadcast this message to all Xalan forces. Humanity remembers. We remember our dead. We remember your cruelty. You wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Consider this lesson learned. Stand down your fleets, withdraw from all human territories, and never approach our space again. If you do, we will finish what we started today. She paused, then added in a voice like cold iron, there will be no negotiation. There will be no second warning. Humanity has spoken. Oscar transmitted the message, and across 100 star systems, the Xalan Confederacy heard it. Within hours, their entire military apparatus began its retreat. The war was over, but as the retribution turned toward home, Julia stared at her reflection in the dark viewport and wondered what humanity had truly become. They had survived, yes. They had won, undeniably. But in unleashing such fury, in silencing entire worlds with fire, had they saved their souls or lost them? The question haunted her all the way back to Earth, and she suspected it would haunt her species for generations to come. The price of survival, it seemed, was paid in more than blood. It was paid in the terrible knowledge of what humans were capable of when pushed beyond the breaking point. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity, and humanity had learned to fear itself.